Hello, good morning. Welcome to my virtual diary. I'm Laya, and today I'm going to be talking about how one time I dated a guy in 6th grade out of pity and desperation, and it backfired on me. Once again, for this story, I fully take accountability. It's not okay to date someone out of pity or out of desperation. If you're desperate for a partner and someone who's not even your type asks you out, instead of saying yes, just say no and be true to not only them but also yourself, because it not only can backfire on them, which could hurt them 10 times more, but it could also backfire on you like it backfired on me in the story, which I will be talking about literally in a few seconds. Also, I'm really sorry for my slow speech. It's literally 10:27 a.m. as we speak, and I'm waking up just a little bit later than usual. Usually, I start making my videos at about, I want to say maybe 9, maybe 8, probably at the very earliest. So I am a little bit slower today, so I'm sorry about like the slurring and then like talking really slow. I apologize. If you need to put this in 2x, then do, by all means, do so. As for cover-up names, my ex-boyfriend, let's call him Pineapple. I know it's a very typical name for fruits, but let's just call him Pineapple. And then for a certain someone I'll be talking about later, let's name her, hold on, let me think of a name. Okay, let's just call her Adriana for this, and she will be mentioned later, and this is important, so remember that name. So let's go all the way back to when I was in 6th grade. In sixth grade, you know, I already said another story about this when I was talking about my math teacher, which is my first ever story time on this channel that I was talking about. So, if you want more about what happened in other contexts, then go to that. But you know, I was just like figuring myself around, and then in my English class, I just so happened to be sitting next to Pineapple. I think I already knew, yes, I knew this dude from 5th grade. We would always joke with one another, and specifically about things like Baldi's Basics, Minecraft, you know, video games in general that were popular, and maybe were considered weird by others, but we were weird kids, especially me. I don't know about Pineapple, but I know I was a really weird kid. I don't know about now, but if I'm considered weird, I could give less of a care, because just do what you want, like it doesn't matter, but that's besides the point. So I sat next to Pineapple, and we used to like talk every now and then, and one day he asked me out, and I was like, wait, really? And I was like contemplating. I was sitting there like, should I really say yes? Like, I'm not attracted to Pineapple romantically or physically. He's okay in the personality. We joke around with each other. And then I just sit there and contemplate, and then I said yes. I literally just said yes. Without feeling a genuine connection, I literally just said yes, which is something you should never do in like when someone asks you out. So after we started to date a little bit, you know, we'd see each other, we'd hold hands with one another. I think I never ever gave him a kiss like on the cheek or anything like that. The farthest we gone was a hug, but we were in 6th grade. We were literally going through puberty as that was happening, so if anything, I feel like that was just the right amount, like a hug and a handhold. I feel like that was just enough, but you know. So we did all that, and one day, I think my mom found out, and then she planned a fucking date for me and Pineapple after figuring that we were dating. Either that or I told her, something like that. The date was so incredibly awkward, and if you're wondering where we went, we didn't go anywhere fancy. We didn't go to like anything remotely fancy either. We didn't go to Olive Garden. We didn't go to a fast food place. We didn't go to a picnic, which a picnic would have been cute as hell. It would have been awkward, but it would have been cute as hell. But no, we didn't go to a restaurant. We didn't go to a fast food place. We didn't go to a picnic. We didn't go shopping. We went to Sweet Frog. Sweet Frog. If you're wondering if it's like bad to go to an ice cream place or somewhere that's kind of like cheaper, on the cheaper side, like like Sweet Frog for a date, it's not a bad date. If you have gone on a date to Sweet Frog with your partner or someone that you're talking to, etc., etc., please don't think that I'm saying it's bad. It's not, but it was specifically like the fact it was with pineapple made it cringe, if that makes any sense. I really don't know how to describe it. It's a cute date idea. However, the parents, like me and my mom sat together while he sat across from me. I literally still have the photos. He looks so awkward in them. Of course, I'm not going to show them because Pineapple does not know that I'm making this video about him. So if he does, does that make me a bad person? I mean, I hope not. But anyway, like I was saying, I'm not going to be showing his face for his own privacy. Same how I'm not saying his name, and I don't reveal the names of people in my stories unless I have their permission. But, he just looked really awkward, and we just, kind of sat there in silence eating our, yogurt. And when we left, it was, such a big relief. I was like, phew, it's over. I didn't mind the date. It was just too awkward for my liking. But anyway, so we dated for a few weeks, maybe a month, and a month is dragging it in the mud. But we dated for maybe 2 weeks, I want to say maximum, a month maximum, and 1 singular week minimum. And then we decided to break up. He was like, hey, I don't think this is working out. I don't think that you and I are kind of I don't know how to describe it. He said something along the lines of, I think it's just not working out. We're too awkward with each other. We can't get comfortable. And also, I have something to confess. But before he confessed, I was like, yeah, I agree. But we don't work, we are not compatible. I never told Pineapple, by the way, that I dated him out of pity and desperation. And by the way, I'm going to be talking about the desperation and pity in just a second after this. Don't worry, because I haven't talked about that part just yet, but I will. But anyway, like I was saying, he was like, oh yeah, I have something to confess to you. But before that, can we break up? I was like, yeah, we can break up. Then after that, he was like, I saw another girl while we were dating. And I was like, what? You saw another girl while we were dating? And he was like, yeah. And after that, I was kind of just silent, because I was like, damn, we just broke up after a few weeks of dating. And it was really awkward, and it didn't click that he was cheating on me while in said relationship until a little later. Okay, now the last part of the story, because it is relatively short, but the last part of the story is, how is this out of desperation or pity? Let me talk about the pity part, because that's the biggest part. And I would put the full title into YouTube, but they only have 100 characters allowed in the caption. So I'm going to talk about the pity part first. So when he had first told me he liked me, I was like, oh, really? And I didn't want to reject him, because it would be really awkward, especially since we sat next to each other. I mean, imagine asking someone out and then they reject you while they have to sit next to you for the rest of the year. That would be really awkward, especially if they were to get another partner, whether that means the person who rejected got the partner, or the person who got rejected got another partner. So instead of doing that to him, I decided to go ahead and say yes, so that way he wouldn't be sad about it. As for the desperation, I just wanted to be in a relationship like every other girl that I saw. Or not every other girl, but the majority of girls in the school. I'd see a lot of girls holding their boyfriend's hands, walking down the hall in matching outfits. They'd get a lot of praise from said boyfriend, and I wanted that as well. So instead of saying the truth, I decided to not only date him out of pity but desperation of wanting to be like the other girls and other, the other couples at the school, to feel something that they felt. I wanted to wake up on Valentine's Day, go to my locker and see a bunch of flowers, a plushie, and a note from my boyfriend, instead of just going to school expecting a surprise, maybe even from a friend, just to receive nothing while everyone else around me got something. And I also find the fact that I was trying to be like other girls so ironic, because in that same era of middle school, I was being a pick-me. It's very funny to me, I don't know why. But anyway, I might do a double upload. I think that I might start working on another video now, because this is very short and I have nothing to do today. So I'll see you guys probably later today, and I'm closing my diary for now, and I'll talk to you guys later, okay?